So if I were to ask you what makes a product a gimmick, what would you say? For me, that would probably be a product that otherwise would probably be a really good product if it weren't for the fact that the price is too high for the perceived value that I'm getting out of that product. So in this video, we're gonna be taking a look at not necessarily a new product, but a product that has kind of been rebadged for Gunpla. So what are we gonna be taking a look at? None other than the glass file. And of course, are they even worth it? Let's get into it. So first off, guys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate seeing all of your smiling faces here once again. Of course, if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Go ahead, start off on the right foot, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Am I getting that the right way? I think they're both over here. Just, you know what to do. Go down there and hit the buttons. You know what it is. So like I said, in this video, we're checking out glass files. And I gotta give a quick shout out first off to the sponsors of this video. Of course, I'm sponsored by Mecha Warehouse, who sponsors the entire channel. But in this particular video, I do have a couple extra sponsors I need to shout out. First off is to my patrons. My patrons, specifically Motaka. Motaka sent me this Razer glass file here so that I could be able to review this for you guys and check it out. And then also, I got to give a shout out to Display, who sent me, along with a couple other products, their currently unreleased glass file. So definitely want to give a huge shout out to both of them for sending these over. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So now in this video, guys, I'm not going to give a really detailed review over these two products because, to be honest with you, they're glass files. They're not new. Files have been around, glass files have been around long before they came over into Gunpla. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this video, so that we can kind of address that whole value proposition that, you know, I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the video. So, you know, if you're looking for a detailed review on either one of these products, then definitely check out one of these videos I'll throw up on screen here. For the Display one, there actually isn't a detailed review on it yet because it's actually hasn't even been released yet that I know of. But I will touch on this as well, and we'll kind of compare the two as well, you know, just so that you guys get an idea of which one that I would go with if I were going to purchase one. But like I said, we're not going to do a full breakdown of these two items, but we will review them both briefly, pros and cons, all that good stuff. I'm not going to let you guys go away from the video hungry. So first off, what is a glass file? Well, it is a file made out of glass. Next question. So the next question that I would think that any consumer would have is, why would you want a glass sanding stick, or sanding file rather? And for me, the only really big answer here would be the fact that whereas a normal file or normal sanding stick is going to wear out over time, these should last you much longer because, you know, they're not paper. There's no paper inside of here. So now number 3, I think I kind of have to break these two guys out and kind of review both of their pros and cons separately before moving on to section number 4. So let's do that real quick. And let's start off with the Razer. Now, by this point, the Razer here is actually a pretty well-known tool. This is made by Gunprimer, and this was, I believe, their first product that they came out with. And since then, they've come out with a whole line of products that people really seem to enjoy and really seem to love. So looking at the good and the bad about this product, the one good thing that I've noticed with this when I've used it is that there are points where this thing really cuts down those nubs really well. But to be fair, there are a lot of times where I also feel like it really doesn't cut down that well, especially in comparison to my Infinity sanding sticks. So that part has me kind of puzzled. Also, a pro and a con to this is the fact that it's very small. So if you're trying to use it to get into like tight areas or, you know, smaller areas, or maybe you even have smaller hands, this may feel really good in your hands. But for me, at times with my bigger, larger hands, there have been points where this felt a little small. But I feel like for the most part, I was able to maintain pretty good control of it. One last kind of nitpicky thing I have to say about the razor is the fact that this does feel kind of cheap here. This top portion, it's like a sticker that they've put on here that has that razor name. But on mine, even though it's brand new and I've kind of pushed it back down, but it's already very, very easily started to peel up. So very quickly, you know, this could potentially come off and I just have a no-name glass sanding file. I don't know, maybe they just need to improve that adhesive on there, because, you know, I've only used this probably on a couple of kits thus far and it's already starting to peel. So that just seems kind of cheap. So next up, looking at the currently unreleased Display glass file that we have here, the very first thing that kind of pops out to me on this is not the mirror finish, although that is kind of cool and annoying. If you like your stuff to stay nice and clean, you're gonna have fingerprints all over this. But the first thing that I like about this is its size. I like the fact that it's a little bit larger. It feels a little bit more substantial in the hands. One thing you'll notice on this Display file here is that 2/3 of the file is actually filing material, while that last third is actually just grip space for you to put your fingers and be able to hold it. Now, just like with the razor, I feel like there are certain times where this actually cuts really, really well, and then other times where it doesn't cut well. I don't know if it's just the angle, where there's like a particular angle that you have to be hitting your nubs in order to really make these glass files dig in. But you know, sometimes I feel like they do well, and then other times they feel like they're not cutting at all. So it's kind of weird. Now, my one dislike of the Display file is the fact that these grooves here tend to get filled with a lot of plastic material, at which point the file really stops working. Now, Display says that you can just kind of dip this in water to get all of that material out. And I've tried it, it does work. But another thing that's actually worked better for me to get material out of these grooves really quickly is to actually use Fun Tack, like this right here, is to actually just go ahead and use the Fun Tack and press along the glass file to pick up all of that material. So now, number 4, how do these two files compare to each other? So the first thing I'll compare for you guys is the actual filing surface of the razor versus the Display. So when looking at these two files, starting off with the razor, you'll notice that the razor has kind of like a crosshatch design, or it kind of has like more, I would say more divots in it, more sanding divots that create a rougher surface in here. It's actually really kind of hard to see even in person, but it's almost like a type of like checkered type of pattern. So there's a lot of different etching going on in this glass to create that that effect, or create that file. In comparison, the Display has way less going on with it. It's literally just diagonal lines all the way across it, all the way up the file. And I think this is more like kind of like your traditional nail file. Now, like I mentioned earlier, for the razor, I really don't like the cheapness of this sticker that they have on here. I could easily pull that off and it would no longer be a razor, it'd be a GU glass file. The nice thing about the Display is you don't have anything like that attached to it, so you don't have to worry about any cheap like stickers or anything coming off of it. However, you do have that mirror reflective side on this side of the Display. So if you're trying to keep your tools looking nice and this is gonna bother you, you might want to like tape this side with some tape or something, because this is gonna get full of fingerprints and scratches very quickly. Now, as far as size go, you can see that the Display is a little bit larger than the razor. However, the razor does have more filing material because of the Display's handle at the end. It's not much, but you do lose out on a little bit of sanding material that you would otherwise get on the razor. Now, number 5, how do these compare to my Infinity sanding sticks, or just your regular sanding sticks? So for me, one con of these, and this kind of is a con for both of them, which is why I didn't mention it earlier, but these are both going to be essentially a single grit. You can't adjust the grit anyway. It's just one grit. And for both of them, they seem to be more of a fine grit, especially with the display. And they even say that here on the file itself. You can see there where it says super fine buffing. And I'll tell you that that is absolutely true for this display, more so than with the razor here. The display, if you sand it down far enough, definitely will give you a very, very, very glossy look to it. You can get a glossy look out of the razor too. However, I'd say it's not quite as high as what I saw with the display. So for me though, that is a con, that they're both kind of very high. I would love to have these in a lower grit, you know, maybe like something in the 400s, maybe even 600s. You know, when I'm using my files, I want something that really busts down those nubs, you know, nice and aggressively. You know, I can clean it up with, you know, something like these later on, but you know, initially I'm trying to really bust down those nubs. So as far as effectiveness goes, kind of like how I said earlier, you know, these are really kind of hit and miss for me. A lot of times they feel like they're really digging in, and a lot of times they feel like they're not. In contrast to that, when I pick up my Infinity sanding sticks, those things fucking hit every single time. No problems whatsoever. Okay, maybe there's one problem. Okay, there's one problem. Okay, but that's literally when those sticks are at like end of life. Like complete end of life. You know, other than that, I can pick up those things and they will bust down nubs like it's nobody's business every single time. It doesn't matter what angle I hit it at. So because of that, these kind of both take an L for me, just right there. I mean, my Infinity sanding sticks, that whole pack costs like 10 bucks, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. Let's move on to the last part. The last part of this video has to do with price, and that's where I kind of bring everything full circle, and I bring us back to my comment at the beginning of the video where we talked about gimmicks. Is this a gimmick or not? So at the time of recording this video, the display file is currently unreleased, so we don't have a price on it. But I'm kind of expecting that this will fall somewhere near the razor price. Now for the razor is a different story. The razor's been out for a little while, and at the time of this video, you can currently pick up one of these for about 25 to 30 bucks. I don't know about you all, but I feel like if you're watching my channel, you're probably, you know, an average consumer. You like to be kind of savvy with your money to a degree, to the point that you kind of, you know, want your money to go as far as you can get it, kind of like me, right? Well, $30 for a glass file, whether it's the razor, whether it's the display, whether, I mean, it's some other company. For me, $30 is kind of a big pill to swallow. I think about $30, I think about what else I can buy with that same $30. $30 to buy me potentially 2 high grades, maybe a high grade and, you know, a little thing of paint.
I can buy probably 4 Mr. Hobby paints for that price. I could probably buy a whole bottle of MLT, maybe 2 bottles of MLT.
So for me, $30 is a bit steep for any glass nail file. And the reason being is because glass nail files have been around. It's not a new thing. You know, it's like I said, it's just something that they've just kind of brought over and rebranded for Gunpla. But, you know, nail salons have been using glass files since when? Like
forever.
Okay, good. Thank you. You can leave now. So yeah, I mean, they've been literally using glass files forever. So it's not anything new. And what really puts the nail in the coffin on a product like this, like these, or like both of these, is the fact that you can get a glass nail file off of Amazon for less than $5. How much is a primed one? That was a non-primed one, and that was what, $3.88?
Yes, $3.88.
$3.88 for a non-primed one. So that means you still got to pay shipping on that bad boy. So how much? What's the cheapest one we can find that's on Amazon Prime, so we get free shipping. I
think I saw $6 something.
$6.
$6.99.
$6.99. So you can literally go on Amazon right now.
Get it tomorrow.
Get it tomorrow, Amazon Prime, free shipping for $7. Yeah, so at that point is where I come back to, is this a gimmick? Are these gimmicky items to you? Is this worth your $30? No, this is not worth my $30. For me, I think the value of this lies somewhere between $10 to $15. You know, I'm willing to pay a little bit more just to, you know, have your tool that you created specifically for Gunpla, or, you know, you've done X, Y, and Z to make it, you know, more tailored to Gunpla versus nails, but not, you know, we're talking fucking 6, 12, 18, 26. We're talking like 4 or 5 times more than that of just a regular glass nail file. And if you take off this backing and if you remove display from this and you get rid of the shiny chrome, that's all it is. So for me, yes, the glass file is kind of gimmicky, and personally, I can't see me ever having or wanting to like purchase one of these, not for $30. Now, if I had to pick between the two, between this razor and this display, which one would I pick? Well, I've been using them both on and off over the past couple weeks, and I think I've come to a pretty firm decision on which one I would choose between the two. If I was gonna put my money on one of them, I have to say I would go with the display. The display for me just came out on top primarily because of its size. I love the size of this thing. It feels really rigid. Well, I mean, as it should, because it's fucking glass, but really the size is really what did it for me on the display. Like I said earlier though, the one thing I don't like about the display is it does get stuff kind of in the ridges. And once you get stuff in there, it doesn't really want to cut that well. And that's the one thing that Razer did well with theirs, is this this particular design that they went with on the Razer. It doesn't have that issue of getting material stuck in it, which then degrades its ability to cut down the nubs. But the display one does. You can get things in here, and yeah, it kind of clogs it up. But more often than not, compared to the Razer, the display just kind of worked a little bit better for me. And yeah, it was just better in my hands, better grip, better cuts. I feel like, you know, more often than not, compared to the Razer, this one would cut better for me. If I was gonna put my money towards one of the two, between these two at least, that's where I would go, is definitely for the display. But if you were gonna get my money right now, you would probably get my money my money would probably go to Amazon, honestly. So I hope that was informative for you guys. Hopefully this kind of filled in some questions that you guys may have had about these two products, especially about the new display that I think should be out soon. So definitely look out for that. If you know, if display comes out with this at a good price point, then, you know, I would definitely recommend it. It's not necessarily that I'm not recommending either one of these, really. It's just that for me, you know, these, you know, at a $30 price point are kind of gimmicky to me, and I just can't see using my money on them. So, but if you guys are into it, by all means, you know, use the review to, you know, further your purchase decision and go get the one that looks the best for you, and enjoy it, you know. And if you want to get that one from Amazon, I will be sure to leave those links down below. You guys can check out one of those and order those up. Wow, that just stuck to this. That was weird. It kind of like stuck to this and like flew off. So yeah, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. I hope that the information was informative. But before you go, please be sure to go check out my Patreon, where you guys have an opportunity to win a free painted high-grade kit from yours truly. And make sure you guys check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of those good social media things. And until the next video, guys, be safe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.